Well, shifting gears a little bit, let's look at the Middle East and let's have a look at what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had to say about the New York Times. Anonymous sources briefed the New York Times that Israel would be prepared to end the war before all of its objectives are achieved. And those objectives, according to Israel, include freeing all the hostages. We know they don't care about that. And getting rid of Hamas, wiping out Hamas, even though Israeli officials, including Israeli officials in the military, have said that that's an impossible goal. But let's take a look at what Netanyahu had to say about those claims. Anonymous sources briefed the New York Times that Israel will be prepared to end the war before all of its objectives are achieved. I do not know who these anonymous sources are, but I'm here to make it clear, unequivocally clear, this will not happen. The war will end once Israel achieves all of its objectives, including the destruction of Hamas and the release of all of our hostages. The government directed the IDF to achieve these war objectives, and the IDF has all the means to achieve them. We will not capitulate to the winds of defeatism, neither in the New York Times nor anywhere else. We are inspired by the spirit of victory. Okay, now that's what Netanyahu had to say. Now let's take a look at what a State Department spokesman had to say to fearless journalist and former guest of the show, Saeed Erekat, who asked the State Department if Israel is going to accept a deal.
I mean, can you tell us that with certainty that Israel accepts this?
Israel itself
have we heard the Prime Minister of
Israel itself said that it accepted the proposal that the president laid out.
Did the Prime Minister say that himself?
They did.
Did he say that I accept this proposal as submitted and approved at the Security Council at the United Nations?
Saeed, I'm happy to help you look at Google after this and look up who in the Israeli government did or did not say things as it relates to the proposal.
One last
but
question.
I just want to be very clear that this is a proposal that Israel itself has said that they supported.
All right.
Okay, so it's interesting that Patel says he's happy to help Saeed Erekat with Google, because I think we at Useful Idiots would invite Patel to take our tutorial, a Useful Idiot's Guide to Google, where we can show you, for instance, that Netanyahu clip where he makes it clear that he's in no way ready to do a deal.
Really one of the most bizarre spectacles in politics I can recall, where you have Netanyahu constantly saying that he does not accept the U.S. version of a ceasefire proposal, and the U.S. pretending that Netanyahu has. It's been going on for a very long time now. Like, we've been covering this for weeks and weeks and weeks. The dance just doesn't end.
Yeah, they even pretended. Remember, they even pretended it was an Israeli proposal?
That's right. That's what Biden said. When Biden gave that speech, this was supposed to be some big shift in U.S. policy, and he said this was an Israeli proposal, and then Netanyahu immediately said that he didn't accept the proposal.
Right.
And this happened at the UN as well, the UN Security Council. Linda Thomas-Greenfield, the U.S. ambassador, says that this is an Israeli proposal, and Israel says we don't accept the proposal. This is one of the longest just farces in public life I can recall, where just like one side is so blatantly contradicted by the other, but yet the Biden administration just keeps going with it. They just are not letting go of this talking point.
So ridiculous. Well, we have another fascinating clip for you related to Israel-Palestine and the domestic front. So this is a clip of Katie Yaroslavsky, and she is a Democratic City Council member in Los Angeles. We're going to hear her speaking at LA City Council about a motion that was pushed back until next month. And this motion would okay hundreds of thousands of taxpayer money to provide security groups, including the Zionist Magen Am, to patrol Jewish neighborhoods and keep them safe from pro-Palestinian protesters. So the motion was adapted last second to try and broaden it to hide the funding. And then, thanks to major pushback from organizations like JVP and other local groups, it was completely pushed back to avoid a vote. So it was kind of delayed. And here is part of the sore loser speech from Katie Yaroslavsky, who's devastated that there won't be a vote on this.
I've been in close contact with LAPD. They have serious concerns about public safety on our streets this summer. And the longer we mire this down in endless committees, once we come back from recess, I think the less safe Los Angeles will be. And I'm very worried about the fact that we can't approve this today. The temperature is high. on all sides, as you see here today. And it's high not only in here, but it's high on our streets. And our institutions are feeling that. And
poor woman, she does not get to fund Zionist militias. But let's take a look at the, some people are calling this a pogrom, what Jews are facing in LA. Let's take a look at this alleged pogrom. Now, as you can see, that person is surrounded and being kicked, and the person who's surrounded being kicked is being kicked and surrounded by someone with an Israeli flag. Here he is again, being punched. And you know what's great is to watch the cops. Right there, he's saying to the cops, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you doing anything? Because he's being pummeled by not pro-Palestinian people, but by pro-Israel people. And we keep seeing this again and again. The instigators of violent attacks, here we're seeing it again, people with the Israeli flag punching people. The victims are not the Zionists. And of course, all these people use the word Jew and Zionist as if they're the same thing. The people who are not safe right now are, when we're talking about Jews, the people who are not safe right now are anti-Zionist Jews. Those are the ones who are getting arrested and attacked. And of course, Palestinians are as well, but no one pretends to care about Palestinians. They pretend to care about Jews.
It's the same game as with the ceasefire proposal. Like, Israel supporters claim that it's the other side, Palestinians that don't support a ceasefire, when it's actually Israel that is blocking a ceasefire. And same thing here. Israel and supporters claim that they're the ones facing, violent attacks, persecution, rape, bigotry, but then they're the ones meeting it out across the country at all these protests. We talk about it all the time. UCLA, there was nothing more violent than the attacks that happened against the anti-mass murder encampment at UCLA when Zionist hooligans attacked it with fireworks and batons, but yet they're the ones who complain that they're the ones who are the victims of violence.
Yeah, and also the alleged hate speech and racism or alleged anti-Semitism. What we do hear are people calling the Palestine supporters the N-word. We saw frat boys making monkey gestures in front of an African-American woman. The bigotry and racism is coming from one side.
Thanks so much for listening to and watching Useful Idiots. For extended episodes, bonus content, and our weekly Thursday Throwdown episode, please subscribe at usefulidiots.podcast.com. Support the show for free by subscribing on YouTube, Rumble, and wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like the podcast, don't forget to rate and review. You can also follow us on Twitter at UsefulIdiotPod. Thanks for supporting independent media. We'll see you next time.